On this week's episode, is TV sci-fi cool again? Has the Avengers movie held up? Xbox in 2018? And what's Australia's number one rapper doing on our show? Find out why, plus a whole lot more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back for another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source, and I'm here along with my good friend. He is the man behind Humanica Media, and you got to check out all their great stuff that they've got going on at humanicamedia.com, Humanica Media on Facebook, and so much more. It's Josh Peterson. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, man. Just closing out the week here, man. Just trying to make it from podcast to bed to Monday, It's just...
I hear you, man. It's a struggle indeed. It always is. But we definitely got a great podcast for you here today to help get you through that struggle each and every week, whether you're listening at work, whether you're listening on the road. We just truly appreciate you taking the time to do so. We've got Muggsy, who is Australia's number one rapper. He's coming up a little bit later in the program. Also as well, Rob McCallum in the Cosmic Crossfire. He's standing by as well. So we've got a lot of great stuff to throw at you today. But first, I wanted to make a mention about what's going on in TV land, because there's been a noticeable shift as far as the type of interest with all these different video formats that are out there. So I want to ask you, Josh, I've noticed recently that obviously the returning series Black Mirror, there's also Altered Carbon that's coming to Netflix next month, plus also as well Electric Dreams from the short stories of noted author Philip K. Dick, who you and I better know as you and I know as well for things such as, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which obviously, the Blade Runner series came out of that. So I ask you, Josh, with all this going on, plus also as well what the Sci-Fi Channel is consistently doing, putting out shows that may or may not meet the public's need as far as that's concerned, but there is some high budgeted, high value, highly produced shows that are out there now that are touching on the sci-fi genre, including, I didn't even mention CBS All Access's Star Trek Discovery, which I've been keeping tabs on as well. So I ask you, Josh, is it cool to like TV? Is it cool to like sci-fi on TV once again?
I think so. It's... I don't know. I think it takes a lot of skill and creativity to craft a sci-fi story that keeps people interested. Because I remember back in the, I guess, even 90s, 2000s, they were just pumping out these sci-fi shows, and a lot of them were pretty poor quality. Granted, Doctor Who and Star Trek have kind of stood the test of time, but you had others like Stargate, and I think Dune had a series, right? Yeah, but like there was a lot.
It had a miniseries basically.
Yeah, and there's and Firefly is one of the most like praised sci-fi shows of all time. But I think that sci-fi is actually putting out some decent stuff now, and like even in movies, we're seeing a reinvigoration of sci-fi films. It's just unfortunate that a movie like Blade Runner got snubbed for Best Picture at the Oscars, because it's one of those.
We're not letting it go. We're just not letting it go here at the Pop Culture Cosmos.
I have feelings about this, but yeah, no, I think it takes a lot of art and creativity to create a sci-fi show people are interested in, and plus, like look what Mass Effect has done. Not obviously not Andromeda, but they've created this story that's incorporated social issues into a fascinating storyline. I think that TV is on the verge of finding something like that. So it'll it appeals to a wider audience. And like, let me ask you this though. I'm under the impression that like, because the CW is just pumping out shows on like, vampires and immortal beings and stuff like that. I think that people are getting burnt out on that stuff, and sci-fi is kind of a different avenue for them to go down to get some kind of creative storytelling without, having to be depressed after watching a show.
Well, I agree with you on that, but I mentioned the sci-fi shows. Obviously, when you're a network called Sci-Fi, you're going to have a lot of shows that are on your network that obviously cater to that genre. But to me, none of them are of a high quality, so I kind of just blow them off. I think all in one swoop. I know there's some fans of the sci-fi shows, and if you're watching them out there and you respect them and you enjoy them, then I back you up 100% on that as far as that's concerned. I praise you for doing so. I just don't. Whenever I see them, I just don't see I just don't get a hook in with those. But I have gotten a hook in trying to watch some of the back episodes of Black Mirror on Netflix. So I've been able to take a look at that. Some of the episodes are really strong as far as that anthology series. I also got a chance to watch a couple episodes of Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams. And those that anthology series, those episodes are not quite as giving me the hook on those as some of the Black Mirror episodes have in both season 3 and season 4. Plus, I also got the chance to see the obviously the famous ones from season 2 as well in Black Mirror. But it's nice to see that Amazon is trying to do something formidable against Black Mirror, and also as well Altered Carbon, which is coming out next month. So definitely it is something that is interesting, but it's still not quite giving me the hook as far as trying to make me involved and invested 100% in it. But I will say that after waiting a while and being on the fence, I have committed to watching some episodes. In fact, I've committed to watching up to date and getting up to date on Star Trek Discovery, and I find it to be something that after a little bit of a rocky start is actually getting a little bit better over time. And with the Orville also as well being a show that touches on sci-fi. Now, mind you, it's a little bit of a satirical matter, but they try to keep a little bit of drama as well. It seems like sci-fi is coming back strong on television once again, and all the different video formats. So how long will this last? It's going to be up to the viewers out there that's going to be giving it support, because when you deal with sci-fi, you're also dealing with a little bit higher budget than normal dramas or comedies or what have you. So if it's proving out in the long run to not be as, I guess, as highly rated as they'd like, you're going to see sci-fi getting curtailed back probably at not even in a moment's notice. But for right now, sci-fi looks to be very good on television. But Josh, one last question for you. As far as sci-fi on television, what exactly are you looking for in a sci-fi series, and whether it be a continuous episode by episode series, an episodic one, or an anthology series like we're getting on both ends of it that are out and available right now in the marketplace?
I'm not big on anthology series. Was it when the Animatrix came out? Like, I was excited about that, and then I just couldn't really get into it once I watched it. I like when things connect to each other. I'm a huge fan of miniseries. Like, I like to have a starting point and a stopping point. So if it's one of those like sci-fi shows that's going to drag on for 12 seasons, probably wouldn't sit down to watch it. If it's a miniseries, like Sci-Fi has a lot of miniseries, and those I enjoy. They have a clear starting point, a clear stopping point, and an intriguing character. And I don't know like where the budget's bigger on these new sci-fi shows, and people have been telling me to check out shows like The Expanse, and there's a couple others that I can't remember off the top of my head.
X-Files is back in vogue as well, and
yeah.
also rumored at some point in time is a Star Wars either anthology or episodic series as well. That's going to be after Star Wars Rebels leaves, and it's not going to be an animated. It's going to be more like a live action version. that's also been rumored to be on the horizon as well.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that. I don't know how I feel about a Star Wars TV show. It depends on what the budget is. If it's, they're gonna dumb the quality down for TV, it's probably not something I'd be too keen to watch, but I'm willing to give it a try. Honestly, I love I love stories in video games like Halo. Like if it was something that was really compelling and had like a good score, good acting, a at least a decent story, it's something that could probably pull me in. If it's a decent sci-fi show. I'm not a huge fan of TV in general, so it would have to be something something that has a point to it that would get me to watch it, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It definitely does for me as well. So it has to have some type of hook. As I've already mentioned a couple times, and there's been some shows and anthology series out there already, like Electric Dreams, which I've watched a couple episodes. And even though they're supposed to be on different paths and different, different themes, still just not grabbing a hook in me as far as maybe the production value or whatnot. It just doesn't seem like it's something that I'm going to stick with. Black Mirror, even though again they touch on several different types of things within social media, internet, and all that, it's still something that I maybe connect with a little bit more. I think some of the episodes are a little bit better done, a little bit better made, and I just think that series actually hits because it's been out a little bit longer. Maybe the fact that it's just got more involved and it's got a better universe to draw from. I'm interested to see what Altered Carbon does. I definitely want to check out at least one or two of the episodes there to make sure that's something I want to stay with or not. But definitely think that sci-fi is cool again on TV, especially with Star Trek Discovery, which I think has been a win for CBS All Access. And I definitely think that in the future going forward, we're going to be seeing even more sci-fi on our TV sets going forward. What are your thoughts on the revival of science fiction to the television and video formats? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. It's going to be a great episode we've got for you today. Like I said, we've got Muggsy coming on later in the show. He is Australia's #1 rapper and hip-hop artist in that country, and you got to check out all of his great stuff by just typing in Mugzy on his two great sites where you can grab his music either at SoundCloud or also as well ReverbNation.com. Just type in Muggsy and there you go. Also as well, we've got Rob McCallum standing by in the Cosmic Crossfire. He and I are going to chat about some good stuff in pop culture as well. But first, we've got Chad, a good friend of Mr. Josh right here. He's got a band called Hyperschmidt, and this is After All. And this is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. Again, if you have a problem finding our show and you caught it just now and you want to catch the live streaming versions of it, well, we are on every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network. Also as well, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Croc Radio. Check out them on crocradio.com. Also as well, we've got 9 to 11 p.m. It's a back-to-back episodes of the Pop Culture Cosmos and PCC Multiverse on Good Talk Radio. And then also the Western Digital Reserve Broadcasting Company. They've got us on Western Reserve Radio. And also as well, Live 365, which you can find Good Talk Radio there as well. We are on Western Digital on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific as well. And of course, all these stations you can check out on TuneIn. You can actually type their names in TuneIn and it comes right up and you can listen from there. or you can just download our shows as well on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, the Tangibound Network, the Gonna Geek Network, Podbean, ESO Network, and so many other, in fact, well over a dozen more different podcast outlets. But Josh has got a great thing going on with his format called Humanica Media, which you can catch on YouTube, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and so many other outlets as well. Josh, what have you got in the fire coming up right away in the Humanica Media experience? So Josh, what you got cooking? So Josh, what's in the oven coming up very soon? That's going to be, well, so Josh, what is coming up this week at your experience known as Humanica Media?
All right, so we have a new episode of What About This hitting the airwaves tomorrow. There's a new Topicocalypse out right now. You can watch. The episode is actually about a story that's been circulating on the internet about a poop knife. So yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. Then we have a new Super BS hitting the airwaves also tomorrow, where we actually we sat down and played more Numenera. If that, the first episode of that interested you. And as always, you can catch us on every Tuesday on the Podcast Radio Network.
That's right. They are on 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network. That is the Attack of the Humanicans broadcast. You got to check it out each and every week there, and also all of his great stuff that he was talking about on all their great outlets. Or just check out Humanica Media on Facebook, and you'll get all the info right there. So, Josh, Xbox, we've talked about PlayStation and Nintendo in past weeks as far as their upcoming 2018, at least what we know so far. But Xbox, right now, it's running in third place in the console race right now with Nintendo doing very, very well and PlayStation still trying to maintain its once glorified status and still trying to do whatever they can to keep their foothold in the marketplace. Xbox has always been running a little bit behind. First of all, they were running behind PlayStation. Now they're running behind both PlayStation and Nintendo. But they recently announced that their Xbox Game Pass, which they've been running now for the past few months at about $10 a month or $120 a year, now will include day of release first-party Xbox games. So that means Sea of Thieves, when that comes out this spring, that's going to come out not only to retail shelves and be able to download separately and whatnot, no problem. You're going to be able to get it as part of the Xbox Game Pass in full. So you'll be getting brand new Xbox games straight to the Xbox Game Pass. So I ask you, Josh, this is a big win as far as for gamers of the Xbox series, but there's still a lot of work left to do. There's only Crackdown 3, State of Decay 2, we mentioned Sea of Thieves, not much more in the fire as far as exclusive games for the Xbox series. What does the Xbox need to do this year that maybe will help them gain a stronger foothold in the video game marketplace?
Well, first of all, I think that the Xbox Games Pass is kind of a cool thing, but everyone keeps asking if it's going to be one of those things that ends up backfiring on Microsoft, because obviously, there's the potential to lose money off of offering games for free. But
and then also mention the annual Forza whenever that hits. That's going to come out sometime in September, most likely. So that would also come first day to the Xbox Game Pass as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I after like 6 months, you would still make your I guess 6 months of playing around there, you'd probably end up actually paying for the games. But I guess it depends on how much you play. So like if you're just one of those people that plays 1 or 2 games a year, the Game Pass wouldn't really mean anything to you, because you're still I guess where Microsoft sees the profit coming is from like people taking like a month or two off gaming, they're still getting that guaranteed income through the thing. So I guess that's what makes it worth it to them. But as a gamer, you know, if you're not a constant game, like if you don't play games constantly, it's not really much of a benefit. But I think it's an awesome idea, and you know, I might invest when that becomes solid. But as for the upcoming lineup of Xbox games, I am excited to play Kingdom Come Deliverance. Have you seen the trailers for that?
Yes, I have. It's been actually something that's caught my eye and seems to be something that could really be, if done properly, be something that could make a mark for Xbox gamers.
Right. Yeah, and it's I don't know. It's not often that you get a role playing game that is, you know, takes place in this time setting that doesn't feature some kind of like magic or you know, a fantasy world of some kind. Kingdom Come Deliverance just looks like your, you know, your regular brutal medieval storyline. It actually looks like it's fun. So you know, I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how I feel about the Crackdown series. I'm not hearing enough good things about the development to have me put much faith in it. You know, Sea of Thieves is another one that looks like a lot of fun, but is it going to hit the market that it's hoping to hit, especially with like so many other games of that style out there? You know, don't get me wrong, like it looks awesome to be able to go out there, get into a pirate ship, customize it. I do want to play it, but there's a lot of talk from critics that are saying like, hey, I don't know, you know, Microsoft is really hoping this game is going to hit with fans, but then, you know, there's so many other games. What does this game offer, you know, that to do with your community of friends that like PUBG or Fortnite doesn't offer? Are you looking forward to the game at all? Any interest in
I
playing
am not really, but you know, it is something that it is sort of like a social community gathering type of game where you could go out with some friends and go out and actually, you know, sail the ocean seas. So if you're into that type of deal, maybe it will work. I'm just glad to see Rare come back with a game that they've been able to have a lot of time working on, which is a major. I'll say it. I think it's probably as close to AAA as you're going to get. A AAA release for the Xbox system this year. It is one of the marquee releases for them from an Xbox exclusivity standpoint. So I definitely think that it's just nice to see Rare being treated like they once were when they were on top of this industry in the 90s. With, you know, obviously GoldenEye and you know, Project Dark Zero and on all that. So it's just nice to see them back up and being mentioned as a top game studio once again, especially if this hits big.
Yeah, and the big thing that I'm hearing that fans are looking forward to about it is that like you can play with people on PC, and that's something that you know, puts Microsoft ahead of Sony and almost, you know, that category. But yeah, no, I'm excited to play it. I hope that it's good. I would like to see Rare have more games come out, but you know, it's just one of those things. Can it garner the goodwill of gamers? And you know, we'll see. We'll see. Cyberpunk 2077 looks really good. You know, we haven't heard much about that since E3. Metro Exodus is another one. Did you ever get into the Metro games?
A little bit here and there, but nothing like overwhelming. It is a nice narrative first-person shooter, but it is not something that I've actually stayed long with. So, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to give Exodus a try. But remember, a lot of these titles you're mentioning are not exclusive. There's only about 4 or 5 major titles that are coming out that are exclusive to the Xbox console, which I know you were talking about is going to be a problem for Xbox this year and down the road, correct?
Yeah, there aren't a lot of exclusives. So I mean, you know, Ori and the Will of the Wisp is a exclusive. I hope, you know, and Ori and the Blind Forest was a beautiful game, and there's more games that are kind of Ori-esque coming out. Yeah, like Faye, I think, is one, and there's a couple others. But yeah, Microsoft really doesn't have anything, and a lot of the stuff that they're advertising is meant to, like, they're advertising it in a way that shows it's meant to be optimized by an Xbox One X. So if you're not willing to upgrade to that, you're not going to be able to play the game. The game's not going to look the same to you. But no, I'm still holding out for some kind of like Halo to come out around the holidays, because it's been 3 years now since Halo 5 was released, right? So that's something that I could definitely get people back into Microsoft. But if you have a PlayStation, or you have a Switch, there's not really anything that Microsoft is offering, with the exception of Forza, that's going to be worth diving into. Because even like Monster Hunter World, you can get on PlayStation. People are stoked it's coming to Xbox, but it's one of those games that probably would be more fun to play on PlayStation. So I don't know, man. Like I would like to see some good things. And they're talking about like what's that Deep Rock Galactic game? I know Microsoft was talking about that at E3, but it doesn't really look that exciting to me.
Well, there's still, some hope for the Xbox and the Xbox One X, because the Xbox One X is still the most powerful console out there, and the Xbox One S still, in my opinion, is the best value console out there in what it can do, especially as far as 4K is concerned. So at least there's that, but it is kind of concerning when you don't have that many exclusives to lean on. But it's nice to see them taking a step in the right direction with the Xbox One Game Pass and those exclusives, however few they are that are coming to the system in the near future, will at least give people a chance to go ahead and at least play them at a valued price. And that definitely is something great for everyone's pocketbooks if they go ahead and they decide to sign up for the Xbox One Game Pass. What are your thoughts on Xbox this year in 2018? Do you think they're going to have a great year? It's going to be very strong with Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves, the next Forza, or whatever Xbox is going to be bringing out, State of Decay 2 and whatnot. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, when we come back, again, he is the number one Australian rap artist and hip-hop artist. He is Muggsy, and he's going to be joining us next. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos to close out the show. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. Thank you again. Thanks again for sticking out with us the entire show. We truly appreciate it. Want to thank Rob McCallum, as always, for being in the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire, and also as well Muggsy for hanging out with me and talking some great information on the Australian hip-hop scene, and also his influences as far as our talk when we came to Eminem and whatnot. We just truly appreciate him coming on the show. But Josh, I wanted, before we head on out, in our continuing series when it comes to taking a look at all the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we head into Black Panther on the 16th of February, and also May 4th, the Avengers Infinity War. We're up to the original Avengers movie back in 2012. And the thing I want to know is, when we're Civil War seemed like it was really something heavy duty. When it came to Age of Ultron, that was pretty much a big battle as well, with all the Ultrons and whatnot. But when it came to, and I look back upon the original Avengers movie and the Battle of New York, to me it was just like Loki and some Chitauri hanging out, but it really didn't feel like it was that large of a scale upon hindsight as compared to what we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe since, and even Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Thor Ragnarok, and what we've got coming up in Infinity War. It seems like the stakes, or what we saw, was not quite as large as what it should have been. At least I'm kind of getting that sense. It kind of seems small scale by comparison. Do you feel like the same way? Do you think it's held up strong, or do you think it's just kind of aged a little bit?
Yeah, it's aged a little bit, but I look at it this way: it's sort of a setup movie, and it's also like the axis on which the Marvel Cinematic Universe turns. It's how they're even Spider-Man: Homecoming. They're always referencing the Battle of New York, uh, where all these heroes first started popping up. Even in the Netflix shows, they're talking about the New York incident and stuff like that. So it's they needed to build the team dynamic, and then they needed to give them something, like plant the seeds for something bigger. And it's a platform to me. It's not really like an epic film like Avengers: Age of Ultron or Captain America:
It
Civil
just
War.
seems like it was just a battle over some New York streets, a couple like a few block area. This didn't seem like the actual entire Battle of New York.
Yeah, that's I know I feel the same way about like the Harry Potter films. It's like you have these dark wizards walking around everywhere, flying through the sky and stuff, and it only like affects one suburb of London. But that's just like that's I guess they didn't want to write all that out. But yeah, it's one of those things where everything seemed to be like isolated to New York or one place. You didn't really feel like the world was in danger or anything. It's like Loki only wanted Manhattan, and in which case, whatever. But
Here, just have
yeah,
Manhattan. You
just
can have
just
it.
just have
I'm
it. It's
sure
an
New
island,
Yorker.
we're good.
I'm sure New Yorkers just like the sound of that.
Yeah.
We're just kidding. We're just kidding. We're just kidding. But I will say this: that I think that the Avengers still holds up as nice watching television. It's not something that I take seriously as I once did. I think it is a nice popcorn flick, and I think it moves well because the character interaction. And I think that's what still makes the movie stick is that character interaction between Loki and all the Avengers, but also the Avengers themselves interacting with each other. Do you agree on that?
Yeah, because I mean, look at it this way: they needed a film to bring them together, because that is the glue. That was so they had their separate adventures, and then the Avengers film brought them together, and then that's it. That was the platform, and then everything else kind of leapt off that platform, because the Marvel, it's kind of the base of the tree, and then all the other films are kind of the branches, and then you get to the top and you have Avengers: Age of Ultron, Civil War, and stuff like that. But Avengers, as small scale as it was compared to Civil War and Age of Ultron and uh, Infinity War that's coming out, it's a necessary film. We needed that to create what they did, and yes, it's hard to go back and watch. Just like it's hard to go back and watch like Thor or Incredible Hulk, and we disagree on Captain America, but it's just one of those things that it was necessary. It needed to go down that way. Now we don't have to worry about that awkward team building scenario that happened. Like Justice League was one of those things where they're like, let's skip all that, and then we'll just have them all fight together. And it didn't really work out so well for them. So Avengers: Age of Ultron, I don't hate it, don't exactly love it, but it's necessary to me.
Well, it is necessary in the fact that it does start to get the prospect of Thanos involved in it, and obviously it's led up to the Infinity War, where Thanos is now going to become a major entity and a major force to be reckoned with. But yes, the Avengers did prove, even on a smaller scale, that they were a force to be reckoned with, and it did bring up the attention to Thanos that he just can't throw teams of individuals or teams of bad guys or teams of aliens that are not matching up to what he can do. And obviously that now he's going to be, as well as he put it, he's going to do it himself and see where that goes from there. So definitely excited to see what's going to go on in Infinity War, but definitely would not have started without the tremendous success of the original Avengers movie, which still holds up as far as a great popcorn flick, even though looking back in hindsight, the battle itself wasn't as large of a scale as maybe it was portrayed to be, but still it is definitely very important within the series. and definitely a movie that should not be missed. What are your thoughts on the original Avengers movie? Do you still like it after all these years? Do you still watch it? Is it something that when it comes up on the TV or you got the DVD that you walk by, do you still pop it in there? Is it something that you still go out of your way to see, or is it something that you watched it and you've moved on and definitely don't have any qualms about not seeing it anymore, or not even having a desire to take a look at it again? We'd love to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, also as well Humanica Media, Game Source, and Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook and Twitter as well. So once again, I want to thank Muggsy and Rob McCallum for standing by. Josh, we've got another great episode coming up on Friday with the PCC Multiverse. I know we're going to have a lot to talk about there as well. But my friend, you got any last thoughts on the way out?
Yeah, actually, today I went to go see 12 Strong, and it was a decent January release. It was I went into it not really knowing anything about it. I knew what the story was, but I hadn't watched any trailers, read anything. I knew that millennial bloggers were upset that it was too like quote unquote manly, but it was a decent flick to me. Like, it was a typical Jerry Bruckheimer movie, but for a January movie, it wasn't that bad.
And that's the thing, when you are watching a movie that's released in January that wasn't set in, started off in Christmas or whatnot to be in front of the Oscars, that was a January movie. It in past, it seems like the Hollywood industry has used January as a dump for all the movies that they've forgotten about, almost like a land of misfit toys in and of itself. But it's good to see that 12 Strong is meeting your expectations as far as a decent film. Not quite the level of last year's January. I still thought that was a pretty solid outing for a lot of films there in January. But still, this January has come out to be pretty decent comparatively. And then obviously you've got the Oscar winners that are now coming out strong. And then you had The Maze Runner, The Death Cure, which did take the box office. But when it comes to January, you got to talk about the success of Jumanji. Well over 800 million worldwide. One of the top 5 films of that released in 2017. A big success for Sony and one of their highest grossing films of all time. And it's good to see The Rock again, reaffirming his place as one of the top box office draws out there. So if you get a chance, check it out. Jumanji, it's a nice popcorn flick, but also 12 Strong, recommended by Josh as a very solid January movie. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.